Hello and welcome everyone to today's session, which is about how to become fluent faster. I've also called it a personal exploration because throughout the presentation, I'm going to ask you to think about your approach to the 4 steps that I'm going to share as being crucial to achieving fluency faster. So, let's go and see what these 4 steps are. Step 1. This is a question for you. What is your definition of fluency in English? Is it speaking fast while copying a British or an American accent, using advanced structures and lots of expressions with 100% accuracy? Or is fluency about communicating effectively by speaking clearly with 80% grammatical accuracy and simple and appropriate vocabulary? So, think for a moment and decide what is your definition of fluency. Now, if you chose A, speaking fast while copying a British or American accent, using advanced structures and lots of expressions with 100% accuracy, then ask yourself, is this level of fluency really necessary for me, for my purposes? And maybe your answer is yes. Then ask yourself, is it realistically achievable? So what is my answer to the question, is this level of fluency achievable? Well, yes, we can all master advanced structures and expressions, but we have to remember that this will take a lot of time and effort. We need to study very intensively with a teacher. We need a lot of exposure to correct standard English, and we need the opportunity to speak it every day. And the hardest part is adopting a British or American accent, unless we have been exposed to one of these accents from a very young age. To be honest, I have met very few non-natives who have achieved this level of fluency in English, and I have met many. For me, they have fallen into 3 groups. The first was English language teachers and public speakers, translators and interpreters and journalists. That was the second group. And also the third group, people who grew up watching English television, also whose first language is similar to English and who studied it intensively at school as well. For example, some Swedish people fit this description. So I think for the majority of us, it makes a lot more sense to adopt the second definition. That fluency is communicating effectively by speaking clearly with 80% grammatical accuracy and simple and appropriate vocabulary. Adopting this definition of fluency is a very in becoming fluent faster, because it removes a lot of unnecessary stress and effort. So that was step 1, defining fluency accurately. What is step 2? Well, in my opinion and experience, it is improving our listening skills. Why is this super important? For 2 reasons. If our listening comprehension is weak, we'll be afraid of entering into conversations, which is crucial for achieving fluency. And the second and very important reason is that spoken fluency comes from the ability to hear, understand, and copy spoken language, not written language. So let's ask you this. How do you test your listening skills? Choose one of these options. Do you watch movies or series in English to see if you can catch every word? Or do you take standardized listening tests and see if you can score above a B2 level, B2 C1, a good level? What was your answer? Well, if you chose A, I watch movies and series in English to see if I can catch every word, I strongly urge you to stop. This just leads to huge frustration and demotivation. Remember that movies and series are full of non-standard regional accents and slang. It is impossible to understand every word in them, even for native speakers. We're an English-speaking household, and even we always have the subtitles on when we watch movies. So don't aim too high unnecessarily. Now, the only effective and reliable way of testing your listening skills is option B, taking standardized listening tests. And your aim is to score above a B2 level. There are many free sites related to exams like IELTS or Cambridge that you can use for this. Here is one site that I can recommend. I think it's really good. It's called testenglish.com, and then you can go to the listening test section. Now, so that was about testing your listening skills. How about improving your listening skills, which is very closely related to expanding your passive vocabulary range? How do you expand your vocabulary range to improve your listening skills? Right, choose one of these three options. Is it through reading texts and looking up new words in a bilingual dictionary? Is it through watching something on television or on YouTube and making a note of interesting vocabulary? Or is it transcribing well-scripted monologues or dialogues that contain useful daily language? Which method do you use to improve your vocabulary range, which improves your listening skills? Well, if you chose A, that is reading texts and looking up new words in a bilingual dictionary, once again, I strongly urge you to stop. Learning vocabulary through reading and translation is honestly the worst thing we can do for our listening skills and for our fluency. Let me explain why. In English, we can never be sure what different letters actually sound like. Let me give you some examples. For example, the two letters E and A together can have 4 different sounds. E, mean, E, heavy, ear, hear, heard. The single letter U can have 5 different sounds. Put, but, unit, June, guide. So it's completely silent in the last one. So we can never rely on our eyes to tell us how a word is pronounced. So that's why option B is a little better. That was watching something on television or YouTube and making a note of interesting vocabulary. At least in this way, we learn the correct pronunciation too. But let's face it, this takes all the fun out of the activity. It's really much more motivating and beneficial to watch or listen to something we can easily understand and enjoy. So, my recommendations: 1. Choose familiar and interesting topics and easy accents. If needed, put the subtitles on. Why not? And very importantly, relax. Take it all in. You don't need to understand every word or take notes. Okay, so the most effective way, in my opinion, to improve our listening skills rapidly is option C, transcribing well-scripted monologues or dialogues that contain useful daily language. By using transcription exercises that have been specifically prepared for your level, you not only improve your listening skills, you also activate useful and appropriate structures and vocabulary into your own speech. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, listening and fluency. You can use the same material you use for testing your listening skills for transcription. So let's see what are the steps so far. Step 1, defining fluency accurately, and step 2, improving your listening skills. What is step 3? Well, finding out where your main language gaps are. You need to know, do you need to work on clarity? Do you need to speak? Do you already speak at a good pace, not too fast, not too slowly? Do you make pronunciation mistakes that make you difficult to understand? How about grammatical accuracy? Have you activated all the important structures to at least 80% accuracy? What's your active vocabulary range like? Can you use at least 50% on your passive vocabulary actively? Now, next thing to think about, what if you don't know where your gaps are? Well, which option would you choose here? If I don't know where my gaps are, I work on everything at the same time by using several free pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary apps. Cover it all. Okay, that's option A. Option B, I get a teacher to periodically evaluate my English and tell me where my gaps are, which ones are affecting my fluency the most, and suggest effective methods to fill them in. Which is your choice? Did you choose A? I work on everything at the same time by using several free pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary apps? Why not? That's, of course, the most affordable option. But I'm sure you agree, it's not the fastest route to fluency. Using a variety of generic apps, as great as they can be these days, means you will be spending a lot of time on activities that are not necessarily addressing your gaps, especially if you don't know what your gaps are. Obviously, option B, that is working with a teacher, is not free, but it's really the only way to accelerate your journey to fluency. Now, I know many of you have achieved amazing results through self-study, and if that's working well for you, fantastic, carry on. But if you're feeling frustrated at your speed of progress or you're unsure of your fluency level, then find someone who can evaluate your spoken English and guide you on what you need to work on. So let's look at the steps again. Step 1, define fluency accurately, improve your listening skills, and then close language gaps. What is the 4th step? Here's the question. How often do you practice speaking English with other people? Is it never, rarely, once or twice a week, every day? If you answered never or rarely, then you need to find more opportunities for conversation practice. It's really only by engaging in real conversation with people, not bots, I'm afraid, people, that you can both test and greatly improve your fluency. Steps 1 to 3, that is adopting a better definition of fluency and studying the right way and with a teacher we like, they are usually easy for most of us. But speaking English in front of other people is often scary, for good reason. Let's see, why are you afraid of speaking with others? Is it because you're afraid of creating misunderstandings because of your language mistakes? Or is it because you're afraid of being judged negatively because of your language mistakes or accent? Or it can be both. Think about it. What's your reason if you're afraid of speaking with others? Well, both fears are perfectly normal, especially if we have been in situations in the past where we were either misunderstood or judged negatively. What happens is that these situations often make us lose our confidence to speak, and the lack of speaking practice then stops us from becoming fluent. So it's a vicious cycle. And to get out of this vicious cycle, we need opportunities to practice speaking in a relaxed and friendly and supportive environment. And the best place to find this is within a community of other learners who are in the same boat as you and can offer us support and encouragement. So, final summary of the 4 steps that I believe are crucial to becoming fluent faster. This is to accelerate our fluency. First step, define our fluency accurately, improve our listening skills, close language gaps, and practice speaking. Let me just define them one more time clearly. Step 1, adopt a helpful and motivating definition of fluency. Step 2, work consistently on our listening skills to achieve at least a B2 level. Step 3, discover what our language gaps are with the help of a teacher, ideally, and start removing them with their guidance. And a very important step, find opportunities to practice speaking in a relaxed and friendly environment. Right, that's the end of the presentation for today. I hope it has been helpful to you.